Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the PAYDAY Crimecast, where dank shit goes down. On today's show, we'll be talking all about the newly released The Bomb Heist DLC and the kick-ass pistol that comes with it, as well as the Dragan Character Pack. I'm Edward, and I'm here with our regular hosts, Lockie and Remy, and it's a special occasion even for the podcast today, as we have a new crew member joining us. So let me introduce Lewis, also known as Make Me Smash. He's yet another Payday the Heist subreddit regular, and he definitely wants to rob a bank vault. So, Lewis, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thanks, Edward. So, yes, I'm the new guy here on the podcast. Hope you're going to enjoy hearing me. I only started listening to the podcast recently, and I just really like it. I love the dynamic that everyone has, and of course, I've loved Payday for a long time now. I started out with Payday the Heist, transitioned to Payday 2, and just it's got to be absolutely my favorite game. I mean, I have a lot of other games I like, but, Payday takes the cake. So I'm going to enjoy being on the podcast. I hope other people enjoy me, and again, so I'm here.
I really like the praise for the podcast, and the check is in the mail.
Oh, thanks. Did I do it right, boss?
Very subtle dankvertising.
But I suppose we should go ahead and jump right into it. So we're going to talk about the Dragan Character Pack, first off.
Yeah.
So,
and
what are
that
your
precedent.
opinions on it?
That precedent, though.
Yep. All right, so who wants to take the first stab at this?
Well, Lewis,
okay, I guess
you're the new guy. Why don't you go ahead?
Go for it.
All right, sounds good. All right, so my opinion on Dragan as far as everything goes, I assume you want me to cover everything within it, so I do like Dragan as a character. He's a very entertaining person to listen to. From a voice acting perspective, I really like his voice. I think it fits him very well. His pager lines are just pure gold. But as far
Agreed.
as yeah, I thought I saw a burger, but it was just I thought I saw a burglar or a burger or something like that. The spelling confuses me. It's very great. It's very funny to listen to. As far as other things go, like the Lion's Roar rifle and the cleaver knife, I believe we could, there are a few things to be said about that. First of all, the cleaver knife, we already have one of those, and this cleaver knife that was introduced is actually worse in certain areas, so I don't know what Overkill was thinking on that end, but, it's whatever. It fits with the Butcher coming in, so...
Yeah, it's got faster times, I think.
I think so.
I feel like the cleaver should have just been free if it was coming with the Bomb DLC, that is. I thought it might have been more appropriate if it did that, and then maybe they gave us the much-suggested broken vodka bottle thing for Dragan, which would be even more appropriate, in my opinion.
That would have been great, yeah. Coming to the Lion's Roar rifle bit of this, there's much opinion on this. In my opinion, it's viable to a degree, but certainly not something you would take seriously on Death Wish. That's just me on it. There's our resident gameplay guy. I believe that's Remy, if I'm correct. So, what's his opinion on this?
Evidently.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Remy.
Well, it's not as good as the Car 4. Still gonna... that's the bottom line. They still haven't been able to topple the Car 4. Which is...
So I'm looking at the wiki page for the Lion's Roar right now, and I kind of feel like they should just have pages for every weapon, on the Wikipedia page, but it should just link back to the Car 4. Like, that's the only piece of information on there. Like, use this instead.
Well, if you're using assault rifles, you pretty much only use the Car 4.
Well, I think that's a really big problem. I wonder if Overkill's actually going to go into, the weapon stats and try to balance everything.
I think balancing right now would throw a bit of a wrench into the works, but on the other hand, they're capable of creating a new meta-tier weapon. We see that in the pistol, actually. For the Bomb DLC, the Leo pistol, it's a beast on Death Wish. It's a contender for the highest tier pistol, with the Gruber. So I might actually think about switching my default pistol to the Leo rather than the Gruber. It's that good.
I recently started playing around with the Leo. I tried it on Death Wish once yesterday, and I really did like it. I thought it was just great. It handled really well, so I can see how they are capable of creating beasts like that, just like Remy said. So.
No, if only they do that for the Carrefour.
Well, to go off topic just for a little bit, there's actually been... Well, just a little bit.
Okay.
No, bad Edward.
But there is this weapon rebalance mod out there that is pretty much verging on cheating, if we really think about it. But I think we'll leave that for another time. But it certainly introduces a lot of really interesting ideas on how to rebalance the weapons. But we should get back to Dragan. We're really concentrating on him today. So why don't we actually take a little look? Well, I mean, I'm sure we've already taken a look at him physically in the game, but what do we think about how he looks? I mean, we sort of got a snippet of him in the little promo trailer that we got before the DLC came out. But as usual, we got the default male body model, as you say. Yeah. He doesn't really look quite as portly as he did in the video, does he?
In the video, he almost looked like Jack Black.
People were saying he looked like Jack Black. People said he also looked like that guy from Double Fine Games, like Tim Schafer, which he really does have a remarkable resemblance with.
Different hair color?
If I can bring up an opinion about his suit, an opinion, I feel like they aren't really giving much variety to the suit colors anymore, because if you look back at when Hoxton was reintroduced, his suit is only just a few tints off from Dallas's suit, and now you look at Dragan's suit, and again, it's just a few tints off from Dallas's suit, so I don't know. That kind of annoys me a little bit. I mean, I'm still going to like them. I still like the characters themselves. It's just, I wish there was a little bit more, color to the suits, because you look at Chains.
Customization.
Yes, I realize that, but, for those...
Well, I feel like that would actually introduce a big problem. If everyone had character customization, everyone would probably go for a very similar colored suit. You can differentiate one person from another. I can understand weapon customization in terms of paint,
it'd be a dick suit.
For actual costumes, it'd be very, very confusing.
It would be a dick
but yes,
suit.
I agree with Lewis.
Yeah, and then there's the guy running around.
I wasn't thinking people could, knit a penis right onto the suit. I was thinking just like recolors or something.
I mean, there's probably already a mod for that, but...
Oh, undoubtedly.
Which one, the knitting or the changing the colors?
Well, for the changing colors for the weapons, at least. But
yeah.
I guess that's sort of just an inherent problem of just suits in general. I mean, they're made to kind of make us all look the same, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Reservoir Dogs as an example, I'm sorry if this is going off topic too much, but and what they did, they just all had the same black suit in that, and their robbery went well, quote unquote. So what you could look at, they're trying to do that sort of example. It's a very good movie. I like it.
I've heard.
You know what?
I mean, for gameplay purposes, I don't think it helps matters if everyone looks very, very similar.
Well, yeah.
It doesn't really, as long as they're at least distinguishable, which they are.
That was a very big thing in Team Fortress 2 when they were going over the design documents, that they wanted every character to have a very distinct silhouette. So even in dark lighting conditions, you could tell one class from another. I suppose it's not as important in a co-op game like this, but I mean, if they keep adding more characters, I mean, if everyone's wearing a suit, it's going to be pretty damn confusing.
Yeah. I don't know. You know what I also kind of found interesting was that Dallas's suit is tweed, different from the others for a reason, right? Like, he's like the old school guy.
Yeah, he's
wearing
that nice,
that tweed suit.
Yeah.
But you have Dragan, who's actually even older than Dallas, and he's just kind of wearing a plain generic suit like the rest of the crew. Kind of bothered me a bit.
I suppose they're going for some sort of class with the suits. In one sense, having a pattern on your suit, not that I'm a fashion expert or anything, having a pattern on your suit is very difficult to pull off because it can come off looking very unfashionable. we got into fashion. We introduced fashion into the podcast. Wonderful.
First and last time.
Designer, high star.
First and last time, I hope.
Yeah. We should get on to the perk deck that was included in Dragan's character pack, the Infiltrator perk deck.
The Shitfiltrator perk deck? Yeah.
Can't use it with Rogue.
Yeah.
Yes, from what I'm reading here, yes. It seems to focus on close combat surrounding people, and there was something I read about that I didn't personally get to experience myself, but apparently was exploitable that you could hack away at dead bodies and like civilians to get your health back for the one perk at the end of the Infiltrator perk deck.
Well, it's one every 15 seconds, but still, yeah.
Yeah, it was
would
pretty
still make a
hilarious.
How did that actually work? Like, it's called Life Drain, but what was the skill description? I don't recall.
It's a melee attack will give you 10% health if you can... is it hit or kill something?
It's hit, I believe.
Hit, yeah.
Kill,
like hit
if
dead
it was
body
on
bags or
kill, it
something?
wouldn't be sustainable at all.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could hit bots with that as well, because they sort of have blood spurts too.
Oh yeah, that was the other one that you could do.
AOI
With that.
teaming.
It was dead bodies and bots. That's what it was. It wasn't civilians. All right.
Well, it's certainly an interesting skill, but I mean, what were your opinions on it? I mean, is it even viable in Death Wish? And does it kind of solve the close combat issues we've been having with the game?
It's Remy would be the better person to ask about this. But in my opinion, and this is just me, again, it's one way of like messing around with melee combat because Overkill really doesn't do much with that. They just kind of introduce new weapons and say, hey, here it is. Although, like, some people want more in-depth fighting, but I don't know if that's quite possible with Payday 2's engine. So, I don't know. I don't know, really.
Well, I mean, just from a game design perspective, I mean, the melee weapons are really just really short-range guns. But Remy was about to say something.
I was about to say something, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was about to say that I feel it's basically like Hitman. It's another gimmicky perk deck for a reason. I mean, in Overkill, if you wanted to go with your delicious ICTV fugitive infiltrator build, you know, more power to you. But on Death Wish, this wouldn't hold up. Because, A, in Death Wish, you don't want to be close enough to them that you can melee them, because they'll gangbang you. You don't want to do that ever. So, but, I mean, in the case that you were, you want to be wearing an ICTV, you'd want all that armor, because you stay still while meleeing, or you, like, randomly run around. You either dodge while you use this deck, or you sit there as an armor tank while you use this deck. But if you try and dodge while you use this deck, and you're not using Rogue or Crook, because you can't, you're going to have a bad time. Because you don't get all the dodge. And if you try and use the ICTV, you're also going to have a bad time because you don't have the extra armor from armor and you don't have the extra health from muscle, which is still kind of bad on Death Wish. But point being, there's always a better choice. It's the same thing as the whole Car 4 issue, is that now that you have the Rogue and Armorer, there's absolutely no need to use any other perk deck. Like, I mean, in Loud. In Stealth, if you're using a Stealth only and you'll restart if the alarm goes, then you'll use Burglar. But there's no reason to use anything other than Rogue or, I guess, Crook if you have that build.
Hitman. But,
yeah, Hitman, yeah.
I use Hitman.
Yeah, the old ICTV Hitman build. Yeah.
I use it for stealth because I am poor and I
Why?
can't afford the DLC. For all the attachments to get primary concealment down, so it's...
I think it's definitely an issue.
It's viable like that.
Only having a couple of viable strategies or builds that you can use, especially when you dive into Death Wish. I don't know exactly if it's just because the differences between Overkill and Death Wish are that significant, but I mean, it feels like the more that Overkill adds to the game, such as Infiltrator, as well as more weapons, it's very hard pressed for them to make them better than the best weapon in the game, like so the Car 4 or going with the Rogue perk deck. I can see what they're getting at, trying to introduce alternative ways to play, but close combat, even with the benefits that Infiltrator provides, it can't outclass Rogue or those other builds in any way, so it's very problematic. There's no way that they can continue going on adding these, but they're not really providing an alternative because it's clearly inferior.
Exactly.
So to an extent, you're saying that Overkill has almost developed themselves into a corner, I guess you could say, if you want to try and use quote-unquote gameplay terms.
Yeah, no, that's actually a great way of putting it. At this point, yeah they're hard-pressed to make anything that'll outclass the meta, per se. Same with the Car 4. It's not that the Car 4 is like uber damage or uber accuracy. It's just that it's so versatile. Like if they had made the Car 4 a loud gun, right? And there were no like concealment mods or anything like that, that would be great. It would be the best gun for loud. But then you go into stealth and there would be another highest tier gun for stealth. But there isn't because the Car 4 is so versatile that you can mod it to the highest tier for anything you're doing. Really.
Without DLC?
Yeah.
Really?
You know, I almost want to say that, like, Overkill's trying to not offend a particular population that plays the game, because
Local master race.
one of the most common arguments, I think, especially with the amount of DLC that's coming out, not just for Payday, but for a lot of other games, is that, hey, you know, this developer made a weapon and it's clearly superior to everything else that's in the game, and they're selling it for money. And I almost kind of feel like, without saying it, that Overkill's trying to cater to that and not offend anyone by not making anything clearly superior to something that you can't already get without paying additional bucks for it.
That is...
Which is problematic.
That's
You're like trying to
annoying.
please someone that's
Like,
that likes to scream, I guess.
Excuse me, sir, but do you have a few minutes to talk about our Lord and Savior, the Car 4?
Come on in.
Please
In fact,
do,
I have
yes.
one right here.
look at Hoover's witnesses or something.
Look at Hobo's witnesses. Oh no.
That's an excellent way of putting it, yes. I just like the way you phrase it, Ezra. I was going to add more to that, but, you know, my mouth didn't want to work, so... have we summed up Dragon, or do you think
I'd
there's
say
more
so.
to add here?
Yeah.
All right.
Do you guys have anything else to say about his voice, actually? Because I do.
Please go ahead.
for it.
I kind of going to go against Lewis's... Well, I'm not going to go against his opinion. I just have a different one. But
That's fine, that's fine.
Ooh, a bit
I'm
of
not exactly sure what
controversy.
accent he has. I guess it's like a Croatian accent, right? Because
Well,
he's
he
Croatian.
is Croatian. Yeah.
This might
He
sound a
even
little
swears in Croatian
insensitive.
at the specials.
It might sound a little insensitive, but
Be careful.
I mean, on one hand,
Be
some
careful.
of his lines are very cool because he has the same, you know, sort of gravelly voice as Dallas, which is probably my favorite character. But on the other hand, when he's speaking English, I'm
Smokeless
finding
voice.
a lot of his lines just sound very silly. I mean, I think there's one line that he tells a civilian to smell his own poo, and he says it in a very
Yeah.
like super serious manner, but just the way that the line was written out, I can't take seriously. And I suppose on
Them Croats be
on one other
crazy.
hand, on one other hand, I just have an opinion that like that accent, depending on who it's coming out of, it's just inherently comical in you know, depending on what they're saying.
Just like that
So,
pager line where he says like my boner, click the button.
Yeah, my
What?
boner is like the button.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he says that. He says it was near the crotch, and like that just kind of happened. So, and then
Right.
Controls, of course. All right, let me just check that out right now. Yeah, that checks out fine. And they're just on their
Yeah,
merry
we
way.
have video footage of your boner
measured,
clicking
we
the
measured
button.
your
yeah.
genitals before you joined the crew, and it looks like it would be
Well-
long enough to hit the button.
They do give a physical. they do give a physical, so we have to throw that option out there. It's always an option.
Well, I don't mind Dragan being a character in it, but his voice, as cool as it can be sometimes, I guess it might be purposeful, but it's very comical at others, possibly
I want to-
unintentionally. I want to say.
I want to kind of side with you in this small sense. So we all know how I'm going to drag this in here. Wolf is just kind of the crazy Swedish guy, and he'll speak in Swedish sometimes. And then you bring Dragan in, and he often speaks in Croatian. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I like that they're doing that, but is it just me, or do you feel like they kind of overdid it with the special lines? Because about every other special line he says is basically like something in Croatian, and then taser, bulldozer, or something like that.
And or
is that-
motherfucker.
Yes. I mean, I suppose to a degree you could argue that because Hawkston, more than anyone, uses his British slang to his advantage, like "get down, you wanker," or something like that. So, but I don't know. It just Dragon's kind of gets to me just a little bit. I mean, I still like it. I'll still play as him, but that's just me on him. I don't know if anyone else feels this way.
You know, to be fair, I guess they each kind of represent their own like specific personality, right? Like Dallas is like the hero who'll do what he needs to do, but he doesn't want to get anyone hurt intentionally. Then you have Wolf, who's just kind of crazy psychopath, and then Dragon, who just fits the silly, over the top. And then you have Wick, who just kind of fits very professional, complete professionalism.
Possibly just really generic and bland character like that.
Yeah.
Actor.
And then you have Clover, who
So I
just
guess
has
it's
boobs.
good. It's a good representation.
And oh no, who's the other character?
Yeah, Clover is just
Houston.
crazy.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
what you
Houston and Hoxton. Hoxton fits the always angry British stereotype. And then
I don't remember him being that angry in the first one, though. Like, he might have been a little snarky at some times.
He seemed pretty professional.
I don't know. To be fair,
Yeah.
if you guys left me in jail for 2 years, I'd be kind of snippy when I came out too.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean,
Just a little bit snippy.
Yeah. And then Houston, I don't know where Houston got to fits in. He's just kind of really generic. He doesn't really have a personality. He's just kind of very
Professional.
serious.
I suppose to
Wick-
an extent.
Wick
That's how
is
they depicted
professional.
him in the description. It's just like he can
Like,
spend
Wick
hours
is,
cleaning his guns.
Don't be a hero. No one gets hurt. Sit down.
Yeah.
Sit on your hands, hero. And then you have Houston who's just like, get down. Stay on the ground.
Just very, yeah.
Stay there.
Well, I suppose
I just had a
it
small
might
issue over
be,
here.
Like,
yeah.
setting the standard on one hand, because the more characters they add, how much can they differentiate one from another? Like Lewis said, they can have certain unique lines in terms of calling out specials, but, well, we're sort of going back to our previous podcast. We're kind of getting into the topic of, character personality and how they don't really interact with each other. And judging by the fact that they're adding so many, there's honestly no realistic way that they could possibly make each character interact with each other in a unique way, like Dragon and Dallas getting together really well because they're the oldest of the group, but they would rather have very generic scripted lines where, the vault's opening and someone just yells something out.
Okay, but that's
It
their
can be
own
very
damn
difficult
fault.
for Overkill to do that. I
That's their
suppose
own
that's
damn
true.
fault because their backstories for all the new characters, like Houston and Dallas, they could have good lines together because they're brothers. They have a backstory. But all the new characters, there's no possible way for them to have any interaction because their backstory is so shoehorned in. It's
Well-
like Chains and Wick, an old military guy. Okay, well, what? There's no interaction there. Or Clover.
That's why
Hoxton worked with her once. Okay, yeah, whatever. Hoxton
Well,
worked
I
with,
think they use the same body, but they literally did just strap on stuff on the chest.
And hair.
and hair.
physics.
They need to fix their hair physics. Just,
Like,
the Hoxton breakout.
if they're not
lines.
going to have unique lines, then I'm thinking at the very least, perhaps they might do something very reminiscent of, the Hoxton breakout, where they have a heister oriented heist.
Ooh.
So if we go into the character description, Dragon, I'm paraphrasing here, but they said,
How
we
is that?
weren't really sure if we could trust
Yeah.
him.
Oh no, it's happened again.
Interesting robot voice.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, it's happening again. Every time.
Yeah, you guys are
That's
doing a
fun.
pretty nice robot voice as well. But is everything okay now?
No, not exactly. Oh,
Someone's taking
Man,
a
I had
mic
a really
quality
good argument
voice.
coming up.
Insert edit here.
I thought we might want to just look at Dragon's character description. And like I said, I was going to paraphrase his character description because we're taking on Dragon as a favor to the Butcher, essentially. So he's joining the Payday crew. And I believe during the character description, they actually say that, they didn't know whether to trust him at first, but he's proven to be reliable. I thought that was very interesting, and judging by the fact that it's not really feasible to have, character-to-character interaction in every existing heist, I was thinking having something reminiscent of, again, the Hoxton breakout, having a unique heister-oriented, heist to go along with every character that comes out. Not immediately when the character comes out, but perhaps at any time just to further flesh out a particular character. Because the fact that we broke into the FBI headquarters in Hoxton Breakout, that technically wasn't even a set mission. It was something that we went to go do because Hoxton wanted to go find out who betrayed him. And obviously, we're going to probably get a follow-up on that thing, on who betrayed us.
Mission,
although hopefully it's not going to be really disappointing, like they're going to pull a character out of their ass and say, yeah, this is the guy we knew for 50 years and he betrayed us.
But then again, it probably will be.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's really not that
now
many
is the
characters
time
in the
to do
canon.
away with Houston.
They've been keeping him silent all this time for that
It was
purpose.
John Wick. He was introduced before the Hoxton Breakout.
Before
yeah,
he was in the
yes.
military with chains, he was,
Mob
a
boss.
proven backstabber.
He was living on the streets making money from mission to mission where he sold people out or something like that.
Dallas and Wick used to live on the same street when they were growing up.
One day, Wick knocked over Dallas' sandcastle, and then it began. Dallas knocked over Wick's sandcastle. We're getting off topic. We're going to these headcanons.
Do you guys want to know a fun fact? Did you know that Dragan actually means deer?
Well, he is a dear character.
Interesting.
Oh,
He's dear to our hearts.
someday.
Deer to our wallets too, apparently.
Yeah,
Well, I suppose we should end on that. I mean, it
Yes.
looks like Overkill's essentially set the standard for how much characters are going to cost now. So,
Yes.
what was it, $7 or $5.99?
For
$5.99.
$4.99.
$5.99
$4.99.
for something like $7.99 for the
Six
for the
$6.99.
heists.
$6.99.
Six for the heist, four for
Seven.
Dragan.
Well, it's like $6.99 for the heist. $4.99 for
Well, is it
Character
worth
pack.
it?
character back. Probably isn't.
Well, you can always get Dragan as like a random character if you get the right spawn in, if you drop in, or it's just if you don't care about Dragan really. I mean, you still like him as a person, but you don't really want to play as him. Like I said, you can just get him random. You can do the same thing with Clover.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose, I'll forgive Overkill. Well, I won't rag on them too hard, especially since I don't believe they included any special achievements linked to that DLC, like, oh, you have to play as Dragon and beat the bomb forest
On Death
in
Wish.
under a minute on Death Wish.
In under a minute.
So, thanks, Overkill. I don't know how they could go on with this, though. I mean, as we discussed, they really can't branch out that much with all the characters.
Yeah.
Well,
well.
we'll have to see what the next character's going to be like, if there is going to be one.
Whatever the future holds.
Jacket character
gonna-
back.
I'll have to fit into the clown car that we call a van.
Well, it's.
Magical van on the trip that is Payday.
I'm assuming the jacket character pack will be available for $5. Because, going back to what we said last week about the
Oh,
tie-in.
for Hotline Miami, right?
Yeah.
Like, you need Hotline Miami too?
Well, it said free access to it, so I'm thinking that it'll be available to buy separately. And if any of that money goes to the Hotline Miami developers, I will buy that.
Well, they would have to, right? Like, I don't imagine they'd allow Overkill the use of their
Yeah,
character for free.
Yeah, without some means of royalty.
Yeah. Let's hope
Well, they're
so.
both Swedish.
Well, yeah.
Isn't that enough?
That's all it
Doesn't
takes.
stops me charging the shit out of another Canadian.
Yeah, the prices are not good here. I mean, they've increased exponentially on Steam.
Yeah.
But with that, ending
course.
the Dragon character pack section, why don't we move on to the bomb heist DLC, which
Let's do that.
interestingly introduces 2 missions. So kind of an armored transport style way. We get 2 missions
It's the bomb.
focused around the same sort of objective, stealing of the bomb.
It is the same,
specifically.
like, that's sort of a choice on how it happens, because it's the same bomb, but it's like a choice where you want to do it. Because,
Yeah.
like, what I actually thought it was going to be is in pre-planning, like, you can choose which place to do it, and it loads up a separate map. But, no. I don't know.
Is it actually? It's the same bomb. There's not more than one of them. Is that actually in the canon of the story that
There's
they mentioned
only
in the
one.
briefings?
Yeah, apparently it's the same one.
Well, I guess it is called the bomb, and they didn't
Yeah.
put like an S in brackets.
That's
The
going to be the
bombs.
title. That's going to
The
be the title
bombs
for the
is-
episode.
Sounds good. All right.
But like I said, we got 2 missions for this DLC, which does provide us with some good value. But I thought we might start off with just talking about, well, how these missions are. I really noticed that these are much more smaller scale missions, I suppose, Payday 2-esque, with the design focus that they were going on in the beginning, just a very focused kind of heist where you're doing essentially just one thing.
There's only
and not move
one bomb.
Too much.
Only one bomb.
Oh, you're looking into the canon on that.
Well, it's on the page. Yeah, they have a choice on where to intercept it. Oh, God,
so which one did you guys want to start off on first? Dockyards or Forest?
Let's go with Dockyards. Why not? That was the first one I played, so...
Yeah,
so what did you think of it, Lewis?
Wait, what?
What did you think of it?
I went through it doing the solo stealth kind of thing, so I like the design of it. Overall, it looks very nice. Some of the objectives, though, I mean, the searching for the computer to find the right comm signal, I thought it was all right. I thought it left a lot to location, but, that's just Payday itself. All in all, I liked it. It was a great mission, so, I can't complain too much. I mean...
Did you play it loud as well, or just...
I have played it loud, and I find it's enjoyable loud, but it's more fun to be stealth in it, so... That's my take on it.
I also played it in stealth, although I didn't really do much of the work, unfortunately, because there's a level
I got
5 infantry dude.
I
just decided to zoom on ahead and do everything.
I got disconnected, and then he joined.
Yeah, that was a great game.
I'm not surprised.
Oh yeah, oh God, my internet's been awful this week, so I've not been able to play much.
We know.
Hello, Australia.
Yes, I beat Hotline Miami 3 times because the internet was broken. So
that's fun.
It sounds like you'd really be a fan of some Ubisoft games. If your internet's bad, I hear they go hand in hand.
If you're interested in broken things,
the whole package.
It's a little off topic here, but whatever. Any more comments about the dockyards?
I actually agree that it was, going back on what I said before, I did say these were smaller scale, but dockyards, I take that back. It was actually a pretty large map. Although I only played it in stealth, I didn't get to play it in loud, so I'm not exactly sure how the loud combat was.
I don't think that was.
But it was really
like $7 though. Which is helpful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I felt like once you stealthed through it, when you get to the end and get onto the ship and unlock all the crates, there's almost no tension at all. It's essentially lost. You're at the very end of the map. You just have to go around opening all of the shipping crates.
But
eventually
then you
find the parts.
Fine game, Lion knew.
Well, I'm not exactly sure which asset that we bought, but we bought, I think, the boat, and it was literally right beside the shipping container ship. So it was literally a stone's throw away, and then the mission ended. It was very anticlimactic, unfortunately.
That's the default escape, on stealth. And I guess I'll go back on what I said about it being overall great. I'll agree with you on that. I would have expected, something more maybe in Greenbridge, in Payday the Heist, we had scuba suits we used. Maybe that's asking too much, but, maybe we scuba dive away and just down the river. I don't know.
I suppose that would be kind of the same thing, though, because we didn't really see any underwater gameplay. I was thinking that there needs to be a little bit more risk involved in a lot of these stealthing missions. I suppose I can kind of call back to, not Election Day, but Framing Frame Day 3. As hated as this mission is, there's always an overhanging, degree of tension that you need to face. Like, is someone going to see the open vault, or, is the camera, I got to remember where the cameras are. I can't break them. So to have that risk, perhaps like a small change where you would actually have to backtrack through the shipping area to get away would add to the challenge or just fun factor of the map, in my opinion. I guess a lot of the time, I'm sure you guys have played missions where you had to do an ECM escape, right? And there's not many moments in the game that are like that. Like, you feel your heart pumping. I got to get out before all of our ECMs expire.
Yeah, I've got to lay the right ECM down at the right time, got to remember who's doing what next, things like that, yeah.
Exactly. Well, I mean, to be fair, even the ECM run can be a little stale sometimes because if you upgrade all of your ECMs, it's just like, yeah, you put yours down, I'll put mine down, and it can get a little stale like that. But if they somehow made it in some way that you had to backtrack through the map and you had some more objectives to do, maybe to cover up your tracks, it might add a little bit more.
That'd be nice. I never thought about
so
that.
So like election
to make it more exciting.
Day.
Because you don't want to get right to the end, because that I didn't feel much tension in the beginning, and then have the escape literally right beside where you take all the loot. But that being said, I don't want to carry like 50 bags back through the entire map. You need to keep the bags to a minimum in this case if you're going to do the backtrack sort of thing.
So
that was my opinion on Dockyards.
Make the loot escape close, and then make the player escape further away.
Yeah, maybe the escape. Yeah, actually, that's a great idea. But then, I suppose it would cause an issue with people saying, "Hey, why can't the boat driver take us on the boat? Is it a one-person boat?"
You could counter. Yeah, you could counteract
same
with
with,
the argument about Watch Dogs. Yeah, see, like he can only carry that much there. He should be only able to carry that much here.
Why can't
we
climb down into the back
a foreign
of his truck?
accent? He can get away with anything.
Exactly. All right.
That definitely would be an interesting thing to do with Dockyards. Just make the ending a little more exciting. Remember Diamond Heist and Payday the Heist? You still have to escape after you got the diamond.
Yeah.
I still haven't stealth that.
You can full stealth it. Once you broke the glass, the alarm went off. So you had to get all the diamonds and then escape to the helicopter while the cops are piling in on you. So,
despite that completely breaking the feeling of a perfect heist, Payday the Heist certainly got that feeling down pat, where even if you stealthed the entire mission, it wouldn't be boring at the very end. For stealthing it, that is. Because if you think about it, even in real life, not that I know or any of you guys would, but having it go off without a hitch, in real life would be kind of exciting. But in the game, there's no semblance of excitement. It's like I did it. I didn't really feel any accomplishment on one hand. But anyways, if you guys don't have anything more to say about Dockyards, anyone?
Nah.
I think I'm good with Dockyards. Yeah.
All right. Well, why don't we move on to Forest?
Yeah.
Okay, Forest. Fun. All right. What do we have to say about Forest? I guess I'll start. The fact that it's on an incline throws me off horribly.
It's so steep.
Yeah, and I think that's a common complaint with everyone, but I guess it's ridiculous.
It is pretty neat looking, but yeah.
It is one of the only maps that offers that kind of verticality to the game.
And it's big. It's a big open space.
Oh, yeah. And I suppose that could be one of its selling points. It's very unique in that aspect, that it's on that incline. It's that unfamiliar environment. You're not fighting on these level, city streets or like warehouses. You're fighting on this big open area. So I guess that could be one of its attractions.
Yes, it's definitely one of the more interesting heists that they could have gone with for a new mission, because on our previous podcast, I was really suspecting that they were going to go with some very generic locations. Like if we're stealing a bomb,
Shadow Raid 2.
Yeah.
Like a generic warehouse, the docks.
A daytime Shadow Raid,
like some research facility. I don't know if there are any in Washington, but some kind of secret research facility, but that would require them to create entirely new assets. So, Forest is probably one of the less, it's almost ironic to say this, it's one of the less generic map themes that you could go with. A Forest, at least they have that really big bridge at the end there. It is kind of spectacular to look at in comparison to almost anything else we've said, as you said, Lewis.
Yeah. I also, what was I going to say? Whatever. We'll bring up the ladder. Now the ladder asset, how it's to an extent not really that necessary, because you can just spam jump along the little hoods that come off the train cars, which some people could say it's just the unfortunate game engine working, but I don't know, just.
Yeah, I mean, every time I do that bug, essentially you can just spam jump on any slope that's not like just 90 degrees perpendicular to the ground, which is really unfortunate.
Well, the
I feel terrible when I do it, especially when everyone's
in
looking.
White Christmas, yeah.
But it's almost kind of cool because you can kind of do what the AI does, like climb up on just
Sort of feels like you're wall running almost. Like you
should be able to.
Yeah.
Just going boom, boom,
Well, it feels
boom,
like you're kind of, putting your hands flat on the on the side of the train car and just slithering your way up, which would look really silly. But it's a neat mechanic. I wonder if Overkill actually approves of it.
I actually want. Oh, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but I actually want to bring this up. I feel like they're acknowledging these things even more because going back to dockyards, when you throw a body bag into the water, Bane gives an audio cue like the fishes grow fat on corpses in this town, or time to feed the fish. And you put in that mission also you put a body bag into the trash. Bane says, "Oh, taking out the trash, I see," something like that. So
it's
that's
also really neat scripting.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any of that when I was playing it, but that's pretty neat.
Because it's client side, I believe. But they're doing the same thing with like an achievement where you get the key cards in 60 seconds. Well, the easiest way to do that is to dupe it, and I'm pretty sure Overkill knows that, or else there's probably some other way to do it, and I just haven't done it yet. But there's also the thing for sawing down all the trees in forest in 5 seconds. And what's one way to do that? Well, dupe the chainsaw. Easy as that.
There's only one chainsaw?
I think there's only one chainsaw, at least to my knowledge. There's only one.
Because that kind of struck me as a bit weird.
I think that's an interesting way to look at it, because I find that, as disappointing as this is to hear, that a lot of game devs don't actually play their own game. I do like the amount of interaction that Overkill offers with the Payday community, like Almir and everyone just talking back and forth along with Simon, offering a lot of different types of interviews. But I wonder if they actually are acknowledging that sort of thing, because if they did, especially with the keycard thing, I feel like they could fix it so easily just by adding like a 0.5 second pickup time to the keycard so you can't dupe it. It really is an exploitation sort of thing, and they've usually been very on top of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really know where I'm going with that, but like, why aren't they not fixing it is what I'm saying.
It's kind of like, you see it as a bug, Payday 2 sees it as a feature, almost, if that's not being rude to you, Overkill, I'm sorry. But you want to talk about community interaction. If you go back just the day of the bomb's release, Ilya, the sniper, Ilya Petrusik, along with Mattia, I think that's how you pronounce his name, I don't know, I forgot, but they often, and that's not just them that day, they often do, interviews with the big people like the Criminal Network, Team Evil, and all that, where they answer the fans' questions, and you don't see that often. So I really like that. That's very cool. I like it.
It's definitely neat to have that kind of community interaction. Although I wish the questions were a little more unique. Yeah. Fortunately, a lot of the questions really overlap with every other interview that they've done with us.
I can imagine the general kind of questions that it would be. It'd be like, "Are you gonna fix this?"
Yeah.
When's the Golden
Grid
coming
to the
out?
secret, or something like that? Yeah.
Well, essentially, yes.
If we want to talk about I'll just sidetrack from the main thing here. So it's a subtopic. It's kind of related. People have been posting videos of the Golden Grin animations being in the game, and I have to say, if it's as grand of a scale as I think it's going to be, I'm very excited about it.
We did talk about that quite a bit when Lockie and I were just doing our own little podcast when some other people were away for holidays, and we were really honestly wondering how expansive it'll be, because we were thinking perhaps they could put more of a focus on security systems, perhaps not instant fail security systems, instead of just packing the guards into the level.
They did that to a certain extent in dockyards, where each side of the warehouse, each side of the what do I want to call this? The dock. That's what it is. That's what the word is. Each side's security systems are controlled by a separate guard. So you want to take out the cameras on the right side, you have to kill the right security guard. You want to take out the ones on the left side, left security guard, in the camera room.
Definitely an interesting aspect.
Yeah. There's also someone found an animation in there for an investigator, so I suppose that could be one of those instant fail security systems you were talking about. There's animations for him like peeking around the corner and things like that, going up to people, so...
That would,
I'm not sure.
That would be a bit...
Well, I think most
bit.
people are really pissed when the investigator shows up on any other mission. Oh, well, they're pumping up the security. There's going to be one extra guard who's just going to look at everything.
Yeah.
And that's when you know you failed, and you may possibly just hit that restart button.
May possibly. No, more than often you do.
But to go back to the forest.
Yes.
Yes, we were talking about the spam jump bug. If it is an engine bug, it might be impossible for Overkill to really fix it. And again, it really gets around what they were thinking, because why have the ladder in there at all if you can just jump up?
Because some can't be done. I think.
A few you
can't do it with. I'm assuming you can just kind of jump up on like the wheels and then do it.
You don't even need to jump up on the wheels. Anything that's not
the side.
Pointing straight up, you can jump on, and I don't think I've encountered one that you couldn't, actually.
Yeah. To an extent, also, the ladder asset in pre-planning is useless because there's ladders on the back of the fallen train carts that you just have to pick lock open, and they're there.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So.
I do like the little callback to the counterfeit heist in Payday the Heist, where you have to kind of pull the hose multiple times up to the safe inside the train car.
And pump it full
you got to
of
fill
water,
it up with water.
Yeah, that was
a really nice callback.
Yeah, and then detonate the C4 charge inside of it.
Exactly. To be honest, though, I didn't actually finish it. I got disconnected right in the middle, so I'm not sure how it ends.
I've beaten it on normal, I think, and then I tried to do it on Death Wish, it was hard. So.
There's multiple escapes available. One is you don't buy any assets for it. You carry the bomb pieces down the hill, back to your spawn, and behind you there's a zip line where you load the pieces onto a ship that's waiting in the water out back. And it's watched by 2 snipers during that whole time. So there's that. There's also the plane escape, where a plane comes in after you cut down the trees, the chainsaw thing. It comes in, you load stuff into there, and then you're off in the plane. And I believe there's one more that's plot. It doesn't come to me. It's not plot. MO. I don't know what to call it, but it just doesn't come to me at the moment. So.
Well, do you feel like there's actually a good trade-off between getting the assets versus, well, not getting them? From what it sounds like if you get an asset, it will become easier. But I feel like that sort of falls into the same issue with levels like Big Bank. It's like bus escape or nothing. Essentially, every other asset is useless, and that's the only one you need. Like, if you went for the construction escape asset in Big Bank, essentially you're just shooting yourself, like, literally in the face with the sniper rifle.
Yes.
For doing that. And why am I spending money on this? I feel like that should almost be the default escape, if anything.
Yeah. And that's another nice little callback to First World Bank. So,
but I want to see Overkill kind of play with the asset system a little more. I feel like the trade-off for buying assets is really just making it easier. There's no downside to buying an asset, and the money obviously isn't an issue. You always have more than enough favors, but I haven't played it on Death Wish, actually. I've heard it's quite hard.
Yes.
But
it's
demonic. They spawn pretty much immediately. And you get wiped out really easy.
Yes.
Must have been sitting right in the train carts, I guess. Or on top.
Yeah.
They sort of swarm up from the bottom of the map. It looks really neat.
Yeah.
But take, for example, if you're playing Death Wish, I mean, undoubtedly you're going to have to go with the closest escape.
Yeah.
I thought it might be interesting if they sort of went with, hey, you have less favors in Death Wish. That means you've really got to think about what assets you want. And unfortunately, it's probably going to be the closest escape. But let's say maybe they take away the closest escape when you're in Death Wish and you have to make do with crappier locations, just as an example. I feel like there needs to be some kind of downside to the asset system, because even before we had the pre-planning feature, we would just buy everything, buy all assets. Why not? They just make it easier.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when it comes to like choosing the escapes, I feel like between the default one and the plain one, it's to an extent balanced, because you're just carrying the bags pretty much a little further with the the default escape. and the escape's right there with the plane. It's the same thing, just load the bags into the plane, and it's that. So I guess it's balanced. I mean, there's another one. I think it's a helicopter escape where you can choose where the helicopter comes. I think. I'm not sure. And that one seems like a little bit unbalanced, but I don't know.
That seems like it'd be really a really interesting game mechanic. Is it actually something that you can place individually, I suppose? Or specifically, should I say?
I believe so. I believe it's Ace Helicopter or something like that, and it you can choose either mid-range or down-range, which would be like right near where you spawn. So
interesting. I definitely think they need to choose. They need to limit us in some way.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's not a very good game mechanic if you can just buy everything.
Yeah. But does that...
I enjoyed Forest. I suppose we'll end on that.
Yeah.
Did everyone like the maps and the bomb heists?
I loved Dockyards and Forest, except for the complaints I voiced on them. Yeah.
Are we ready to move on?
What about you guys?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, didn't hear
no one else has an opinion on...
Yeah.
Okay.
What a wonderful review. They're gonna put that in quotes and put it on the page.
Box
it's good,
quotes,
Lockie.
for sure.
Yeah.
So, with that
Song?
update, a new song came out. You will have heard it, or at least a bit of it, at the start of this show today.
Yes, Searchlights.
Pretty badass song.
Yeah, it's Stone Cold version 2, as some people like to say, and it's great. Just when I thought the soundtrack couldn't get any better, Simon Viklund comes and outdoes himself again. So,
just hopefully they do put it in the soundtrack soon, so we can get some high quality versions of it.
yes, we are currently missing Ho Ho Ho, Breach 2015. That I believe there's one or two others we're missing, or else I'm just daft. I don't know.
Yeah,
Edward, you got...
The soundtrack's already up to 35 songs in the core.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's crazy. Yeah. Alright.
Simon's just got too many songs that he's juggling and trying to put on the Steam soundtrack, I suppose.
There's also the rampant... Oh, sorry for interrupting.
No,
Go ahead.
I was going to say that Searchlights, if I'm thinking of the right song, and it's the one on the on the Bomb Mini website page, it kind of sounds like Shadow Raid when it goes loud. A lot of people have been saying it sounds like a fighting game song, just when it's still kind of quiet before it ramps up.
That's one way of looking at it. I never thought about it that way, so...
But it's hard to really put a pin on any of these songs at this point. I mean, is anyone else feeling like a lot of the songs are blending together? Do you feel like Searchlights actually fits? Well, what song doesn't fit the heist, I suppose?
That's a good question.
The song that doesn't really fit the soundtrack is the Big Bang themes. Doesn't really...
the opera one.
Yeah.
It doesn't really fit other ones.
Well, it doesn't really fit Big Bang either. It's like... What's the original point?
Yeah, I mean, what was I going to say? Oh, yes, I saw someone make a comment about how Ho 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 is just kind of like a bassy, like, techno song, just kind of, it's there, it doesn't really fit Payday, and then I saw somewhat similar opinions on other songs, and it's just like you said, Edward, things in Payday are starting to blend together to a certain extent, but I suppose I'm not noticing as much as other people because I like the soundtrack as a whole, so...
I think Ho 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 was definitely one of the more dubby or dubstep songs.
Yes, that's the...
Which made it so kind of difficult to listen to.
There's no bad songs really on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I think Lockie and I were actually talking about the early songs that came out with Payday 2 and really how they kind of failed to capture the character of any of the
They were good,
heists.
but...
I don't know, I really like Drifting.
Oh, well, Drifting isn't really a heisting song, though, but Drifting is a great song.
Yeah, I
just not really a heist
referring to
soundtrack song.
Who is Pat Briscoe? We'll never know.
I wonder.
I still find it funny that a lot of people thought that, the Miles Malone guy was also Simon, even though he sounds completely different.
Did people actually think that? I didn't see
Yes,
anything
they're like,
about
oh man, Simon has some great range. It's like that's not him. It couldn't be him. It doesn't sound anything like him. He doesn't even. He lost his accent. He would be an amazing singer if he could just drop that accent.
Yeah. Well, that's it's one of the things about speaking another language and like being born somewhere else. Or I could have phrased that better, but I didn't. Whatever. Yeah.
All right. So next up, a quick moving swiftly on. Payday 2 Regular Ordinary Dragon was released.
Great name.
Someone
Definitely
has
great name.
Someone has said literally best name in brackets.
I wonder who that would be.
Probably the same person who said where dank shit happens at the start.
Yes, and again, I wonder who that could be. But yes, all it does is...
We'll never know.
Indeed. All it does is retexture one of the guns, I forget which. It adds little laser bullet effects, like bullet hit effects, and it makes the smoke purple at the immediate moment. Apparently there's more, quote-unquote, $9.99 DLC in true Ubisoft fashion, according to them. So we'll see what's to come.
So, okay, well, just to kind of be more specific, this is the Blood Dragon mod that we're talking about, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or Payday 2 copyright infringement, as it was known for.
So they actually did switch the name. I saw the pistol mod that they released, and I was very disappointed, unfortunately. You know, not to say that, I know how to port in...
disappointment.
That is very true, isn't it? But it was...
God,
ironically enough, Blood Dragon was one of their out-of-this-world ideas that they came out with that just hit it right out of the park. It was one of the most unique experiences that I've had. Just interesting how someone got the idea to kind of translate that into Payday 2, and they really just added a dinky pistol, unfortunately.
But the purple smoke, though,
we talked about.
It's a beautiful thing.
That's the problem with hype, I suppose. They released that webpage with the headphones breakingly loud music, and then they released a pretty disappointing mod, unfortunately.
Yeah. And back to the whole in classic Ubisoft fashion thing. They're really following them through to a T, aren't they?
It's really disappointing because they were a fantastic company for the longest time, and then just something happened. Yeah.
At least with the no, I'm gonna get us off topic, and I'm not gonna let that happen.
God.
All right, finish it. Last word.
There's my last word on that. You can do what
argument accepted.
Thank you. You can interpret that however you will. Okay. Is that everything? I see there's a last thing. Are we gonna do the Steam reviews thing, or
may as well? We did it last time.
It's a tradition.
Okay.
Are we actually gonna go over the names though? That's the question, because we can make some people really internet famous.
Oh yeah, true.
Like that guy who said,
or internet hated, depending on how this goes.
I only bought it to give a negative review because Overkill are the new EA. Posted on both of the DLCs, meaning he bought both of them.
Yep. Fun. Let me give you more revenue. That shows how bad of a company you are.
I don't want you to make any more of these.
Alright, okay.
Here's some money to make more of these.
I will do the Dragon. I'll do Dragon first. Alright, he sang Lionel Richie to the pager operator, so worth it. Dalla come with me. Dalla come with me. His beard, edit, they fixed his AR, RIP. Croatia stronk. Not a woman. What? Not a woman. 10 out of 10.
Okay, it's back to the whole Clover thing, isn't it?
And that just about does it for Steam.
Yeah.
Alright, okay, hang on. The bomb has some
damage control.
Yeah, if you enjoy feeling physically ill while tediously climbing around a mountain, this DLC is for you. And also one that is apparently about the Illuminate.
What?
The
Illuminati, is that what
the Illuminati is confirmed?
I'm sorry, it didn't come out right there.
Would you like me to read this out?
Sure, we need to fill a few more minutes of airtime. Do it.
Yeah, alright. The Butcher has 2 heists. One of those heists has an achievement for the Mask of the Doctor, which is like a dentist but for your body. The dentist has 6 heists currently. There is only 1 bomb. The bomb has 4 parts. 6 minus 2 plus 1 minus 4 equals 1. Illuminate has 1 eye. Overkill symbol is the bomb. There is a triangle in the V of Overkill. Illuminate confirmed. And that's what's on the Steam.
Remember when I said we had to fill more airtime? I really wish we hadn't.
Yeah, it feels, it feels like a tradition, when we keep this running at the end, it's just for the really hardcore fans.
Yeah.
And I use the term fans very lightly because I don't think there are any. But actually,
30 subscribers.
Oh, man.
The fact that you brought that up, the mask, I'm actually surprised that didn't come out for the dentist, dentist DLCs. I would love that.
The Doctor one, yeah.
That would have been great, yeah.
Because he actually wore
For the
one.
Butcher, you should have had like a plastic face shield instead, so you don't get blood on your face.
Yeah, kind of like a. What's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like the blast shields they wear to a certain extent. Kind of like that same stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, kind of like that. Like it's just a piece of curved plastic that covers your entire face.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
All right, I'd say we're basically done. This is a shorter one this week.
Yeah, it feels like it. Well,
not much.
Time flies when you're having fun. I think that about wraps it up.
We're talking a lot.
At least we're having fun. I don't know about you, listeners.
Well, the stats won't lie.
I love those self-depreciating jokes.
The stats won't lie.
But I suppose we should say goodbye now.
Yep.
I love to end these awkward goodbyes.
Parting is
like
such
last
sweet
week.
sorrow.
Last week was so much fun to edit.
Yeah, have fun with your robot voice editing this week.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? That never happened.
No, it will. There's no way to get around that.
Chat. Oh, great.
All right, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening.
All right, yeah. Have a good day. Or day, week, month, life.
Or
See you.
don't.
Have a good payday.